Good evening, everybody. My name is Corey Rosen, and you're listening to the Story Podcast. Today, I have on a super awesome guest. But before we get into that, if you do enjoy this episode and enjoy what I do and want to help support me in any sort of way, please be sure to like, subscribe, share this episode with all your friends. And with all that said, I have on a super awesome guest, Mr. Clifton Bryan. Clifton Bryan is originally from Central Florida. He grew up on the redneck side of town. Country music was always playing in his house. Everyone always said that he was the entertainer of the family. Clifton started playing the guitar around 19 years old when he just had gotten out of the army and was living with his uncle who taught him how to do some fingerpicking in his spare time. At 20 years old, Clifton was living in LA with 6 other people in a 2-bedroom flat, working at a local gym, trying to become an actor on the big screen. Music wasn't on his radar until he came across a guitar which he bought from a pawn shop in the Los Angeles Valley in 1998 for just $100. But at the end of that first week, and 3 chords later, Clifton wrote his very own first song. Clifton then went on to learn how to play and sing better, taking advice from lots of talented people over the years. He went through his early 20s, learning all the songs he grew up listening to and trying to find himself as a musician. Clifton has been playing out locally for the past year and a half and professionally for almost a year now. He still can't believe that he gets to be paid to play, and not just any music, but his own original brand of country music. The support has been unimaginable.
Sure.
In the last year, Clifton has brought some real country music to the local scene. It all started out with an open mic 1 a week, and then 2 nights a week. It didn't take long until he was opening for Ryan Allen, Whiskey on the Rocks, Garrett Schultz, Ben Garner, Tyler Short, Ty March, Philip Good, No Reply, and last but certainly not least, Allie Reason. Clifton has headlined at McCleary's, Burning Bridge Tavern, The Floating Squirrel, Harvest, and Columbia Kettle Works Second Gear multiple times. He's played at the Tin Roof in Nashville over the summer, and he is currently in the studio recording his first single, Belt Buckle Billy, and will be shooting the music video at the Burning Bridge Tavern very, very soon. Currently, Clifton hosts his own open mic and karaoke night at 2 separate venues. Clifton, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to.
Is there an applause? Is there an applause button? Like, this guy needs an applause for reading that bio. That was fantastic.
Thank you very much. For those who are commenters on the show, reading is not a good strong suit of mine.
Wow, that was awesome. That was great.
So you mentioned that you grew up in Central Florida. You had country music all the time running. What were some of the songs, some of the artists that you grew up listening to and drew inspiration from?
Oh man, it's my dad always had a country radio on. It was Hank Williams in Alabama and George Strait, George Jones, all those back in the day I was born in the late '70s, so it was early '80s stuff. George Strait was coming out, George Jones really big, and Merle Haggard and Hank Jr. and Hank was still going around, and Elvis was going out because he had just died there. I think he died the year I was born in '77, I think. But so it was a new era coming around with country music, and it just kind of grew and grew and grew. But it was always playing, always, that was the music that we listened to. And there was some rock in there,
Right, of course.
There was some rock and roll in there too, but not so much hippie rock and roll, but some great rock and rolls back in there, some Zeppelins and things like that. But country was it, and I didn't really think much of it. When I was a kid, it was just music back then.
So what was it that really turned it into something you're passionate about?
It was in that early '90 period, that late '80, early '90 period when Garth came out and kind of hit the scene. It changed the feel of country music and the sound a little bit, and it kind of felt a little more organic to me.
Raw.
Yeah, a little more organic to me. It was a little more my style, because growing up in the '80s, everything was pop, and you had the keyboard guitar and all those kind of fun things, back in the day. And I think Jack Black plays on one of those.
Yeah. Very electronic.
Sousaphone, saxophone things. But anyways, I mean, I think it was kind of in that time frame. My mom had some surgery, and we were home a lot, and she was getting better, and I would lay in my uncle's room there and just listen to albums and records. I think it was Fleetwood Mac was one of them, and I would listen to Garth Brooks albums, and then I got a box set of it for like Christmas one year and played the crap out of them. And but that's where it kind of started. I think was that I would sing all those songs, just lay there and sing, and mom would yell at me, tell me to shut up, quit singing, quit singing,
Right.
go to bed, Clifton, go to bed, Clifton. Heard that 1,000 times.
So, why didn't you shut up?
well, I don't know. I mean, back then my voice was a little bit higher, but I once I got out of school and and got into my adult life, I kind of went to a karaoke scene area
Mm.
there in L.A. Karaoke is very big in L.A. and when I made my way over there to the West Coast, I found myself doing karaoke a whole lot and really really enjoying it and getting a kick out of it. And people were like, "Oh, we should make a CD of you doing this song or you doing that song," and I used to rock the crap out of Aerosmith.
Right.
Dream On was like my game
Could you
song,
hit the
man.
high parts?
Oh yeah,
There you
oh
go.
yeah, and they loved it.
I was
Crowd
gonna say,
loved it.
That's the only part of that song that ever matters.
Exactly, exactly. And I mean that was really where I got the bug for music over there. Was getting into the karaoke scene over there, and I'd played a little bit of guitar before at that point, but not nothing.
So you also mentioned in the bio that you wanted to go over to be an actor. What was that reasoning? How did that come about?
Man, like it says, I've always been an entertainer and the guy, jumping around on the furniture with a towel wrapped around his neck and pretending you're Superman,
Right.
yeah, that was me. So I've always been an entertainer, and I thought, I got out of the army and I didn't have any skill. I wasn't a high school
That's
dropout, but I didn't graduate with a 4.0, so
right.
I went into the army with a buddy. We went on this battle buddy journey. It was like that you could join as battle buddies with somebody else, so that meant that you went to the same basic training. You were going to most likely be in the same company area, so you could have somebody there and not be so freaked
Well,
out, I
right.
guess. So we tried that. Plus, it was a little bit more money because they got two people to join instead of one.
Right, of course.
Yeah, yeah, a little bigger bonus, suckers.
Right.
But they didn't teach you nothing. They teach you how to beat people up and look out for bad things. But so I came out of
How to
there.
wake up on time.
Yeah, how to wake up on time, make your bed real tight, and shave at 3 a.m, dry shave. But
Jeez.
it was a great time. But that kind of, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to. It was either medical or it was
Hmm.
entertainment. It was one or the other. It was medical or entertainment. I was going to go one way or the other. So I kind of explored the entertainment first, and that was kind of what was really closest to me. Um, when I got out of the army there in Georgia, there really is nothing there. I was hunting guide there for probably about 6 or 8 months with my uncle there on 6,000 acres, and that's really all there was hunting and guiding.
Right.
And a college in town, and wasn't a big college, but I qualified for financial aid and was like, oh, I'm going to give it a whirl. And my drill sergeant, one day in basic, my drill sergeant woke us all up real early, and he's screaming at us, "Who's going to sing the national anthem?
Anthem.
Who's going to sing it? Who's singing it?" And my buddy knew that I could sing, and he's like, "Private Brian will sing it. Private Brian will sing it." And he's like, "Go ahead, Private Brian." So I start singing the song, and I get to the end of the song, and he goes, "I'm calling you Hollywood. That's your name. You Hollywood now. You look like Michael J. Fox anyway. Yep, that's you, Hollywood."
Right.
And he walks off. So I became Hollywood from then on out. And that just kind of stuck in my brain. So sitting there in Georgia, my uncle's teaching me how to play guitar a little bit. He had a couple guitars. He's a great finger picker, and teaching me how to play guitar. And I'm just feeling more entertainment than working out in the middle of nowhere, working at the local prison. That was like the big job in the area, was working at the correctional facility, which was a great job, great paying job, government job, but it just wasn't
Yeah,
for me.
More power to the people that do that.
Yeah, I tried.
Yeah.
I tried. I worked in the food service thing as a supervisor, and for about 3 or 4 months, I couldn't go to jail every day. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, right.
I just couldn't do it. Just couldn't do it. Even though I got to leave every day. I'm sorry, but I just couldn't stay there. But so I figured entertainment. I thought entertainment was the way I was going to go. That was just it. And I'm kind of one of those guys that once I set my mind on it,
There.
it's there. I go for it. I manifest things, and I just try and make them happen. I go left and right, and I figure out what's happening. I watch people. I learn. I apply things in my own world, and I just make happen what I want to happen. And so far, it seems to be working.
So you go out to LA, you move in with these 6 guys, you try to find something in the acting entertainment scene. What happens?
you know, it I'm down there. I meet these guys when I'm like 18, 17, 18 at this model convention. There's 6 Hawaiians, all different sizes guys, tall and short, and but they're really cool. And they're like, hey man, what do you if you want to come to LA and give it a shot, give it a shot. And they got acting agents out there, and that was the year that I had spent. I was out of the military, had met those guys, was trying to do some acting or modeling or whatever I could get into. And then I went to Georgia, and I had spent my time there, dude. I was ready to fly. I was ready to fly. And I called the guys and I was like, hey, what you guys up to? And they're like, oh, mahalo, man. Come on over. Go say what's up. Oh, aloha, whatever they say. And, but they were like, yeah, come on over, dude, and hang out and check it out, brah. And I was like, okay, brah, I'm on my way. And I got on a bus. I had $1,000. I had made a little bit of money. I had $1,000, and I hopped on a Greyhound bus and went from East Coast to West Coast, man, and was there in a few days.
So I say that must have been a pretty drive.
Yeah, was there in a few days. Got to explore the country. Really kind of figure out who you are on a bus.
Right.
You definitely learn who you don't want to sit beside.
Yeah, I bet.
And which vending machine you want to eat out of. That's the biggest one. But I got over there and I lived with them for a few months, and I was getting work and doing acting and was getting all this secondary, extra type stuff, walk on stuff here and there. Nothing really speaking major stuff, but I was getting work and they weren't getting a whole lot of work because I think Lethal Weapon 3 was all that was filming that fit their character. And they got mad and kicked me out. So
Really?
I moved in with my buddy who worked at the gym that I worked at. His sister just went off to college, and his mom offered her bedroom. I was like, hey, you can come stay with us if you want, and if you paint the windowsills, you can live here for free.
There you go.
I said, hey, I will take that deal.
I'll learn how to paint real quick.
Yeah, I will take that deal 100 times. And I became great friends with him, and he played guitar, and he played lead guitar really well, real fast fingers. And I was one day in between gigs, and I just was walking down the street, and something made me kind of walk into this pawn shop that was there in the valley. And I walked in, and I looked up on the wall, and it had this little guitar, this little Honer guitar. It was for $100. And my uncle had taught me something, and I had never had one of my own. So I thought, well, I'm going to buy that guitar.
Simple as that.
Simple as that. I'm gonna buy that guitar. I got $100. I had done a couple jobs, I had $100, and I bought it. And I went back home, and I was like, Evan, show me this, show me that, show me this, man. And he started showing me some stuff, and he taught me a couple of different things. And I went back and sat down and was like, okay, I don't have nothing else to do this week because I worked at the gym,
Right. Of course.
And and I'm gonna go on TV here a little while, so I don't have nothing to do. So let's write some music. So I started playing music, and just by the end of that week, I wrote my first song, and a song called "Are You Single?" And I wrote that on my own, out in the sunroom in LA in the Valley. It was fun.
That's awesome. So when did you, from writing your first song, when did you start saying, oh, this is something I want to do a lot and maybe actually perform?
Man, a lot of life happened in between there, man.
Oh, I'm sure.
A lot of life happened in between there. You're talking 21 years old in LA, acting and singing and playing, and trying to make it in an acting world was just not going anywhere. And I came back to the East Coast and went to Atlanta, and I got this short record deal one time as a country artist on a label, like their first artist ever. And it just didn't work. It just wasn't working. They were really demanding, and I just wasn't much for an organ in my music, and they wanted to put an organ in a few of my songs. And at that point, I only had a few songs, and I was coming out. I was just too much for me, I think, at the age that I was at that point. Um, so I kind of went a different route and explored and traveled around America back and forth, and ended up in the South again. And that's where I had met my ex-wife, and my daughter was born, and life happens, and I decided family time now. It deserves,
Deserves
something
attention.
of a
Yeah.
career and attention. So I got a career in medical field. I went the other route this time, and I kind of evaluated things and was like, well, I can go back and go and try and do this. So went back to college in Florida, and finished out here in Pennsylvania. That's how I ended up here. We came up here. My parents had lived up here, and we needed help with the kids after
Mhm.
school care. So we moved up here, and we just basically got a radiology degree and started doing X-rays and CAT scans, and that led to other things. Led to eventually doing like cryogenic cancer therapy. I don't know if you know what that is, but
I think so. It's like we isolate cancer cells and kill them, right?
essentially, not isolate. We ice them with actual ice.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
kind of
um,
isolate, ice them.
yeah. So we would stick a needle down into your kidney wherever your mass is,
Oh,
and freeze it with a needle that has gas pumping through it. That's
sounds like
really
a lot
cool.
of fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's a really cool thing. But I ended up getting board certified in X-ray and CAT scan and ultrasound and laser treatments and cryogenic therapy treatments, and traveled the Northeast and did that for quite a while. And then 2020 hit, man, and
That's the point of every musician's story so far.
yeah, I mean it hit. It wasn't a bad thing for me. I mean, it was that really helped me get back to exploring to who I was. I mean, before 2020, 2017 hit, and I got divorced, and
Mm.
um, that whole part came to an end there, and I really was still exploring myself. I think all through my marriage and all through raising kids and everything. I think I was still trying to really decide what it is that I wanted to do. I was kind of in the wings
Right.
waiting, for my kids to grow up and move out, so that I could go back and
Figure
finish what
yourself
I'd
out.
started. And it was a couple years later. I was just sitting at my cousin's house one time, and I heard God say, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know. I really don't know." And he's like, "Hey, I gave you some talents. I think you should have a little faith and take a leap of faith and trust in me and believe in yourself, man, and see what's up." And I was like, "Okay." So I listened, and I just listened, and I started exploring what talents I did have. I learned that I'm a very good painter,
Mm.
and I started first as an artist, painting, and started a little business called Rattled Up Creations and doing spray paint arts and different things. And then that led to acrylic painting, and I got really good at that. And now I have paintings all over the country that people have bought. There's one in England, international, and
Wow.
there's all kinds of different things that happen with that. And I was like, oh wow, that's really cool. And then the winter hit, and it was like, oh well, it's kind of a slow season. What other talents did you give me? And I've been playing for 25 years at this point. I could pick a mean guitar. So I
Hmm.
was like, oh, let's check that out again and see what's up with that. And I just kind of, and it just kind of fell right into place, man. I just started playing a lot, and I had a great guitar, but I bought another one and started playing a lot. And my buddy, he wanted to play. He always wanted to play, and so I showed him how to start playing, and then he went to school and learned how to play a little bit more, learned a little music theory, and now he plays and gets his own gigs and stuff. But he and I were both like, why don't we just go out and play? Like,
Right.
and I was like, well, what do we do? Open mic or something? So we started doing an open mic, and that's how it all came back around to me. After after those long years of life that were in between there, and kids, and divorce, and 2020, I ended up listening to God this time, and and letting him just walk me where he wants me to go. I stopped fighting, and it's really made a big difference. Um, so I just listened. I just listened. I opened up my ears, and he said, "Hey, man, go on and go over here and do this," because I don't think he was really supposed to do all of this over here. Was really you made all that happen, dummy.
Right. Yeah.
Come over here. Come back over here.
That was all you.
Yeah, that was all you. So come back over here. So that's what I did, man. And it's really, I'm really thankful that I did. I'm really thankful that I took that leap and believed in myself and trusted in him and just let him take me where I need to go. Because I'm sitting here, my first ever podcast, semi radio, live,
Right.
whatever, however you listen to your podcast, ladies and gentlemen, however you stream, first time ever, at 45 years old, and it's just a flip of a switch.
And it's crazy. And you mentioned you being 45. This can happen at any age.
Yeah,
People think that, oh, if it doesn't happen in my 20s, it's never going to happen. Never.
yeah,
It's not true. We had a film producer, Bradley Hawkins. He started his dream at 60,
mm-hmm,
and he's doing wonders well.
yeah.
You can start life at any age.
You can do you. I am a firm believer that you can do whatever you put your mind to do.
Absolutely.
If you want to go out and be a pet groomer, you better make some flyers and go be the best doggone pet groomer you can be. If that's what you want, there's no doubt in my mind that you can manifest it and make it happen.
So the American dream in that sense is still very much alive.
Yeah, I'm just a firm believer in that because that's what I do.
Right.
I want something, I make it happen.
That's what any artist does.
Yeah.
Anybody who owns a business literally just said, I'm just gonna do it and figure it out. That's how I started this. I'm gonna do it and figure it out. Figure it out later.
But you're right, man. You could be any age. To me, I'm a little older generation than you. But to me, I always thought when I learned, I was in my early 20s when I learned that Rodney Dangerfield didn't get his start until he was 51. Nobody knew who he was, and that made me think, well, okay, so I got some life to do.
Yeah.
I can do some life and, come back to this if, need be and see where we're at.
Right.
So it's true. And I thought this last year, and I love the woman that I'm with. You're fantastic, baby. Thank you for taking care of me and supporting me through this journey. But this last year, man, I just really just focused on the music and focused on networking and meeting people and pushing it and getting it out there. And Jim Carrey said one time, man, I heard him say a quote that said, if you're not willing to give up and sacrifice what you need to sacrifice to get you where you want to be for a year, you don't really want to be there.
Right.
And I've sacrificed a lot, and I'm just thankful for the people that are sticking with me and stuck through this with me, man, because it's a journey. It's a hard knock road. It's not an easy life, and but it sure is a heck of a lot of fun, and there's no other feeling like it. And you can start it at any time. You can start it when you're 10 years old and put it down and come back to it a little bit later when you're a little more mature and relook at it. When you've learned how to study, you've learned how to do things a little bit better and regroup, you're 1,000 times in a better place.
So before we continue, I just want to let the audience know that if you have any questions for Clifton, you can feel free to comment them, and we'll get around to them at some point. For you right now, you came to Central PA, you go out to these open mics, you start re-engaging with music more. What is your songwriting process like as you have aged over? Have you done life for a long time now?
Yeah.
And what was it like as a 20-year-old versus today?
That's a good question because I wrote a few songs in my earlier years and didn't write songs for 25 years.
Right.
And then came back and wrote new songs and took some older songs and revamped them into my new style and my newer brand of music, how I play. So that's a great question. I noticed that I'm always going to be a 90s country fan. There's no way around it. I can't not be. It's in my blood.
To be fair, 90s country is the best kind of country.
I'm not going to argue with you. I'm
Besides the
just
Johnny Cash, but
I'm just saying, there are greats, of course, like the Cash, but I'm just a '90s country guy. So, and I think a lot of that plays into my brand of music. It's very country, and you can definitely that it's going to be country when you hear the first
the
lick.
first leg. Yep.
I just
So you're talking about like your Tim McGraw's, your
Yeah, your Tim McGraw's, man. Yeah, your Tim McGraw's, even still Alabama at that point, but
right,
like,
yeah,
man, I can't even. Your Tim McGraw's, your Alan Jacksons, your
yeah, that's the
Travis
one. That one.
Tritts,
Yep.
your Randy Travis, um, your Garth, of course. You've got
Carrie Underwood around that time too, or
no,
it
she's
was
a
a bit
2000s
later.
chick.
Okay,
Yeah, you know, there's
I
there's
I didn't
there's a
clue her with
few
that.
there's a few that come out in the late '90s, early 2000s, like Underwood and Aldine and them that came out
Mm-hmm.
that will always be classic.
Right.
They will always be classic. They're unmatchable in their talents. Um, you know, Aldine thought he was going to break radio, and nobody's going to like his type of country. And I kind of feel the same. It's you never know who's going to like what you
What?
play.
Yeah.
Or what kind of country it is that you should play. And it's hard picking set list for things, but you do what you can. But yeah, I think I'll always be a '90s country fan, and that's always influenced my writing. So from writing as a 17-year-old, my influence there wasn't very. I didn't have any. I didn't have any influence on songwriting because I didn't know nothing about it.
You didn't have any backbone.
I didn't have any backbone
Yeah.
in me to really know, the difference between hard times and good times.
There was no
And-
country in your
yeah, yeah,
songwriting.
yeah, yeah. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. There's no country in my country back in
Right.
those days. It was just a background influence, as a kid, as a young kid. And then when I got into playing the guitar and playing acoustic, um, there's a lot of rock songs that you can play, but you can't really play them that well on an acoustic guitar,
No.
and they don't sound the same. And it took me a couple of years to kind of find my niche on the guitar and what I like to do and what I enjoy to do. I have short, stubby fingers, so I don't have the hand of a lead guitarist. Um, Maybe if I turn this way, because this hand's faster than this hand. But uh, so I learned that I'm a finger picker
Mm.
and a chicken picker, and I can. It took me, I don't know, 20 years to master the finger picking, with my lower three and my thumb, and that was taught by my uncle 20, 30 years
Right.
ago, right? But it took me even longer. It feels like it's taken me even longer, and I still don't feel like I'm that good with a pick. Um, but either way, it's all in what you learn and what you had. And now having all this life experience and all this stuff that's happened over the years gives me a huge variety of things to talk about.
Yeah.
And, I can hear other things in other people's conversations and just go, that'd be a good song title. Like, that's a good line. Like, I'm going to take that.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a good line. I could really write a song just by the emotion that one line made me feel, and on all the nostalgia that it brings back. Um, and I try now to not sound like anybody else.
Mm.
I don't want to sound like anybody else. I am Clifton Bryan country, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I want to sound like. I want when you click on the CBC channel that you're going to get Clifton Bryan country, and it's going to be a nostalgic feel with songs that have to tell a story that tells a story about life, or it tells a story about a friend, or tells a story about a girl, but it tells a story that gets you in, so you want to know how's it end, so I think the maturity is level is,
Priest.
yeah, now there's country in my country.
Yeah. Now there's country in your country. Now you were Clifton Bryan where you started. Now you're Clifton Bryan country.
Yeah, somebody said that. Somebody said the other day when I was like, "Hey, how y'all doing? I'm Clifton Bryan, Clifton Bryan Country." And somebody says, "Is that your last name now?" Somebody in the crowd that has heard me before, they're like, "Is that your last name now? Because that's all you say is Clifton Bryan Country." I'm like, "Well, I don't have a banner with my name on it, so I got to keep saying it, so you know who I am."
Right. Speaking of the tunes and the stories, we have one of your newer tunes. Let's go fishing.
Oh yeah.
Tell me
Okay.
about that one.
I was sitting in the basement one day just picking around, and I had dropped my guitar down into drop D tuning and was goofing off and just started playing this little rip, and it made me bob my head. It made me think, oh, what is this? It made me kind of jam a little bit, and I was like, oh, what am I feeling on this? And then I thought
Mm.
about, you know what? Let's go fishing. I don't have a fishing song, so I started writing this, and the other day I wrote a second verse and another little chorus to it. So it'll be finished. I'll have a whole song here shortly, for too long.
And with that said, this is a little demo version
Oh,
of Let's Go Fishing.
let's go fishing.
Woke up around 4 a.m. Called my buddy Tim. Said, hey man, what you doing? Let's go fishing. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Called my buddy Fred. Said, hey man, what you doing? Let's go fishing. They both laughed at me. That's alright. 'Cause I don't give a damn about nothing but the tide. We're fishing for sunrise. Working on something new, y'all. Let me know what you think down there in them comments.
That's your Let's Go Fishing, man.
Yeah, let's go fishing. I don't know about y'all, but I was snapping and clapping in here in the booth.
Yeah, that's a. I was definitely hearing out all the other harmonies in the bass and the because you don't usually play just by yourself, do you?
No, I don't usually play by myself. No, I do have some guys that play with me. I have a drummer and a lead guitarist who's a fantastic, Andy Hart, and my drummer Steve Wargo. Steve was actually the drummer for LCBC Church for like
Oh
20
wow.
years, the Mannheim complex over there. And he's been a drummer forever and played with a lot of people. And he's introduced me to the circuit that I'm in now, and it's a great place to be. And Andy Hart's he's another a killer guitarist. He plays with Bobby Law on the Late Show. Um,
Okay.
yeah, he's just a killer. I don't even know what to say about the guy. The guy's so much better than you think you are, dude. You're so much better than you think you are. Just saying that on live air because you are awesome, and I'm so glad to have him on board. He's made some original licks to my music that
Hook.
just hooks you right. Just makes the song like mwah. You know what I mean? It's just makes the song perfect. And I'm working with a guy, Eric Keys, getting stuff recorded. That Belt Buckle Billy song, I think, is going to be a winner, man. I don't know. I've got a couple of them that people want me to put out, and that was the first one that people were wanting me to put out. So that's what we went with. And I can't wait for you guys to hear the lead guitar on this. It just melts your face off. It's got a little Jimi Hendrix and Van Halen in the end of it, all mixed together. It's just fan-freaking-tastic. It's unbelievable. Um, but yeah, I don't play by myself. I mean, that's how you start. You got to start somewhere. You got to start by yourself and play out acoustic until you meet people. Unless you're lucky enough to have friends that play music and want to be in a band, that's kind of hard to find. And
Yeah.
a lot of solo artists now rent other artists out when they come to town. That's not their guitarist back home. It's just who they rented when they got here. And I do that too. I've played with other people who've called me and said, "Hey man, I just need you to play guitar. Can you come and play my music?" And
Right.
sure, I can do that too. Um, but yeah, I have a band going. I have a couple another guy, Mike Martin. He's another lead guitarist guy. Another sick guy. It sounds totally different than Andy, but still has great fingers. And the two of them together and us, we all sound fantastic. And I don't have a really solid bass player, but I'm trying to get one. I've got some people that really like to play bass with me, but that seems to be a hard one to find. And a fiddle player, if there's any fiddle players out there or steel guitar players out there, y'all hit me up.
So, what is it like to compose and write together as a unit as opposed to separately versus you on your own?
Well, at this point now, I haven't written a song with these guys that I play with. Like
Hmm.
we haven't been in a studio or been in a rehearsal and written a song together. I have since I have like 23 songs or something like that, and working on others as we speak, and building my albums over the next few
Years.
hopefully they're all good enough to go on albums and that kind of thing. But so now I have this bucket of songs. So I kind of brought to the table, hey guys, I have these songs. What do you think of them? And they were like, oh, I like that one. Maybe we should put these on and maybe hold off on that one until we work on that one better. You know what I mean? Like, and getting those opinions. So it's been really nice trying to figure out what it is that we want to go and record next, or what we want to play next. And when I come to them with a set list, I kind of make it so where it's loaded with my original material and some covers up front. And then at the back end, once everybody's had all their liquor, and I sound so much better, right?
Right, of course.
And once we get to the back end of the concert, then I play a lot more covers and a little less originals, because you're not really paying attention to originals at that point.
Right.
You just want to hear Margaritaville. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of play at that. But with these guys, I haven't actually sat down, and we haven't actually sat and had a time to play, because Andy lives in Maryland, and Steve's in Harrisburg, and I'm in Wrightsville, and so Mike's in Lancaster. So we're just kind of all over the place. But we do get together and jam. So I kind of brought to the table these songs, and they just made them better, And they said, well, these are the ones we should record. So and introduced me to some people in their circuit like Tyler Short and Garrett Schultz and Ben Garner and some of these other people that have been doing this for quite a while, and they're taking me under their wing and kind of helping me meet people and get into doors that I could probably never have gotten into any other way,
That's awesome, man.
Yeah. It really is amazing. It really is amazing. But to answer the question, no, I don't just play by myself. I do have a band, and we rock and roll. We can jam. That's like when I got in, I said, it's so odd hearing things, because I just played last night at McCleary's, and it's so odd to hear the raw cuts. It's just me and an acoustic guitar versus me and the band. It's just it's awesome.
Different, yeah.
Yeah, it's different. It just reminds me how it all starts. This is how it all starts. These songs that he's going to play for you, the mine that I'm writing or that I've written. This is how it all starts, raw and real.
And actually, I'm going to play another song called "Keeping It Country," because it's going to lead. I'm pretty sure it's going to lead into a topic that I really want to get into for sure. So tell me about "Keeping It Country."
Keeping It Country. I had this idea. I woke up with "Keeping It Country" in my brain. Just woke up with those three words: keeping it country. And I thought that's a song right there. So I came downstairs to the studio, and I have this Papa Smurf t-shirt that says "Call Me Big Papa" on it that I seem to always wear when I write songs. And there's like two shirts that I wear, and that's one of them. And I think I may be wearing this shirt when I wrote this song. I was wearing this shirt. I don't know if I'm in this video, but I was wearing the shirt when I wrote that song. And I was just thinking about, what is keeping it country? I wanted to put some life in. I want to put some life into this song. So that's kind of where it came out of.
So this is "Keeping It Country" by Clifton Bryan.
Not so long ago, when you walked through my door, I couldn't let you go. I wanted you more and more. You're the woman of my dreams, and in your world's where I want to be. Just loving this life, living that dream, keeping it country, keeping it country.
There it is, "Keeping It Country."
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of brings it into a topic that I like to talk to a lot of artists in the relevant field. Where do you think that country's going? What do you think about where it's going? And what do you want to bring back?
Let's see. What do I think about where the country's going? I think the country's going in its own way, man. I think there's too many chiefs and Not enough Indians. I don't know. I mean, it's weird. The country's in a weird state right now.
For
Honestly,
sure.
it's in a weird state right now, and
But I mean the genre.
the genre of
The
country
genre of country music, yeah.
the genre of country music,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
the
yeah.
country.
No, no,
Oh.
yeah.
I was like, that's a pretty broad
big question, yeah.
bro. But I'll answer it. Where do I think the country? I think the country music is turning. I think it's turning around, man.
Mhm.
I really do. I think some of these new artists that are coming out, like Cody Johnson and Warren Ziders and Cody Jinks and guys like that, and Clifton Bryan and Garrett Schultz and we're kind of coming back. Tyler Short are coming back on that country feel, and the pop is still there and the beat, but the pop country I think is kind of taking a turn. It's going to always have its popularity. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
There's always going to be the young crowd that loves that pop country, and I think as that younger crowd ages, they turn
To the old guy.
to the old school, and they kind of turn and come back around. And I think that's kind of where we're kind of in this transition, and I kind of feel really lucky to be in the country music world right now because I'm bringing something totally different to the table with my brand of music. So I really feel like, I'm playing real country music, and I kind of feel like that's really coming back. At least those are the guys that I listen to, you know what I mean? Like that I listen to, those Riley Greens and guys that have more of a storytelling ability in their
Mhm.
songs, that's not trying to shove 15 words in a bar down, down my throat every bar, and just to get something out. And then it makes a song pointless. It's hard to follow, So I think the country music as a whole is coming back around and feeling a little bit more real like country. The last two country music awards that I watched, the CMAs and the, what was the other one?
Not the Josies.
No, it was a CMAs. They were both country music awards,
Oh, okay.
but both of them felt like a real country music award show. Again, it didn't just feel so political and so just all uptight. I mean, they really felt like they were having a good time, and they were singing country songs.
Keeping it country.
Yeah, they were memorializing Loretta Lynn and the greats. And Alan Jackson got his Lifetime Achievement Award, which he should have got that years ago, dude.
yeah.
Years ago. So I think the country is coming around, and I'm just really, really, really happy and really proud to be part of it, and really happy to find myself
Part of that.
to find myself that's where I am. You know what I mean? Like that's who I am. That's where I am. That's where I want to be. Right.
Here's an interesting question. I don't know if you might have an answer to this, but I wonder what your thoughts on why do you think it's straight away away from being country?
Generation.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think it's just generation. I think we had a country music had a 15 year period there, 10-year period, 15, I'd say 15 years from 2000. The year 2000, we all thought the computers were going to crash, we were going to die. Everything was, Chicken Little thought the sky was falling, right? When 2000 was coming. So didn't know what was going to happen. So I think that 1999, that last party like it was 1999 was really the last party like it was 1999 for a minute, and people kind of flipped the switch, and this younger generation hit the scene. It was no longer the Pepsi generation, it was this new Mountain Dew generation, and it just changed the whole scene of country music, and younger artists started hitting out. Young people like Taylor Swift and things, and the Carrie Underwoods and the Kelly Clarksons that were coming out at 17 years old that had these voices like Whitney Houston and like it was unbelievable. So I think that kind of changed the face at the moment because they were pop kids. It was generation. It was not a bad thing. It was just generation.
It just happens.
Yeah. And now that generation is in their late 20s, early 30s, maybe, and they're like, oh, who is this Cody Jinks guy? Who is this Cody Johnson guy? Who is this Clifton Bryan guy? Who is this? Who are these people? You know what I mean? Like,
Who are these older generations?
yeah, who are these little people? And why is that fiddle making my hips move? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why do I want to two-step to this song? What is the difference? What is the deal? I can dirty dance to this song and two-step to it?
Right.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wait a minute,
Right.
So I think that's kind of what happened. I think it was just a generation change, and I think what's happening now is that generation's getting older, and this new one that came up is kind of coming into the older generation as it's phasing itself out. You know? So this new generation that's coming in will have a more real country feel for the next 10, 15 years until they get old, and that generation pops up again, and it's a cycle of older musicians versus younger musicians.
Right. That's always is.
Yeah. Yeah. You look at Luke Bryan, you look at Luke Combs, they're in their 30s.
Yeah. Wow. They are.
Yeah. They're not 17.
Yeah.
So their style of music is different than what theirs would have been. That's my answer.
Well, that's a good answer. So we have another one of your songs, titled Angel.
Titled Angel?
Titled Angel.
Angel in Disguise.
Angel in Disguise. There it is.
Yeah.
Well, tell me what about this one.
This is your good classic love song I'm working on here, an Angel in Disguise, and it's really about the person you love. I mean, for me, it's long brown hair and crystal blue eyes. For you, it could be green eyes and red hair. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just a good love song, and I mean every word of it.
That said, this is Angel in Disguise by Clifton Bryan.
Long dark hair and crystal blue eyes makes everybody stare when she walks by. But that's my kind of woman, the kind you don't find at a fancy department store checkout line. She's a little bit country, little rock and roll, and I'd follow her wherever she goes. She's not into drinking or getting out of control, but when I do, she lets me know that there's a long way to heaven, a long way to hell, and I'd better listen if I want to climb those stairs. Yeah, that's my kind of woman, with long dark hair, crystal blue eyes. That's my angel in disguise. She's my angel in disguise. My angel in disguise. Little Monday morning.
All right. So, you decided to be an independent artist as opposed to be a corporate artist. Why not go to Nashville?
Well, like I said, man, not going to Nashville. It's not that I'm not going to go to Nashville. My sound is my sound, and I kind of feel like if I go to Nashville, it won't be my sound anymore. And I used to know Jennifer Nettles from Sugarland, and not know her, but
That's cool.
Long time ago, and they were coming up, and their sound was so cool, and it was so twangy, and her voice is so twangy, isn't it? Anyways, but their original sound, when it was just the three of them, it was amazing, and it was amazing. I still have their original CD that she gave me, and they all signed on there. But it doesn't sound anything like when they got CMT'd, is what I call it.
Mm-hmm.
They completely changed their sound, and I decided to be a solo individual artist instead of a corporate artist because of that. I wanted my sound to be my sound. I don't want nobody to take that away from me. I'm not giving that up. Clifton Bryan Country is what it is, and you either tap your feet or you don't, and it's cool if you don't. And not every song's a number one,
Right?
But if you don't like it, you don't like it. Change the station.
But
I just wanted my music to be mine, and I learned a lot from listening to Prince, of all people. The man knew what he was talking about, and other musicians should listen to that man.
That's to say, and some of the most popular songs that you know were probably written by Prince, even though they were performed by other people.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But he was a very, very wise businessman when it comes to record labels and things as such. And I just kind of, I've just always been leery of that, and just been leery of somebody's taking my sound and changing it. Um, I am who I am. I sound what I sound like, and when I brought my music to the table for the first time to these guys that I play with, Andy and Steve, it was a very challenging moment, and because I don't know what they're going to do, what they're going to say, if they're going to pick along, and then all of a sudden they just blossomed the music, and I thought, wow, okay, so I'm at least writing stuff that other people can play, you know, and
Good test, actually.
yeah, and I thought if they can make it sound that good, or if they can come up with their own organic lead or come up with their own organic drums on that and make it sound that good, man, I can only imagine, you know, where we will be down the road.
Mm-hmm.
But and they didn't try to. They don't want to. They're not taking my sound away. You know what I mean?
They're
Like
adding to it.
they're creating it.
Yeah.
Because it's only been me and the acoustic. So with other people involved, now we're actually creating what I sound like and what these songs sound like, and watching them transform from these acoustic raw versions that we're playing today into the songs that we're going to cut is absolutely an incredible process, man. And I didn't go corporate, and I never will go corporate. I don't think, man. If I sell on Spotify or stream all day long or whatever, and make money that way, that's perfectly fine with me. I don't need a record label pushing stuff down my throat or pushing me in opposite directions that I don't want my sound to go, you know?
Oh,
So
absolutely.
this way I have control over my sound. That's all. It's nothing personal labels, but y'all ain't getting my sound.
No, you're absolutely right. Because labels will take your sound and do awful things with it.
Yeah, they'll take. Yeah, I can't even use my own name if I sign some contracts.
Yeah.
You know, so that's just the way that it goes. I am Clifton Bryan Country, and I sound like I sound, and
Like it or not.
I'm an individual artist. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
So, where can people find you? Where do you have any gigs coming or?
Yeah, I've got quite a few things coming up. The rest of this year, most Wednesdays you can catch me out doing open mic nights at either the Burning Bridge Tavern or over at McCleary's, or both.
What days are those? What times?
That's Wednesday night. Burning Bridge starts at 6. I usually go there and warm up with a few songs and say hi, and then I'll go over to McCleary's. It starts at 7:30 and runs till 10:30, I think.
Same day?
Same night, yeah.
Oh wow.
And they get a pretty good big list of players over there, so you got to get there early to get on the lists. But
I mean, McCleary's does at least. I know that.
yeah, McCleary's definitely does, and it's a big thing. But I usually do that on Wednesday nights. Some Mondays I'll go out and play at Telus. I think that's where I met you,
That
was
is
at
where.
Telus.
Yep.
And I was doing Sundays at Stoner Grill, but it's not doing it anymore. I actually host an open mic night every other Sunday at the Floating Squirrel. Starts at 8 o'clock, goes till 10. It goes to 11.
Sunday.
Yeah, the
That's
Sunday
nice.
night. Yeah, it's a Sunday night. A lot of musicians are really liking that because they can, there used to be a daytime thing and now it's a nighttime thing, so they can actually feel like they're playing music and having a
Right.
drink, and when they should be, and not at 10 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, when no one has a voice.
Yeah, nobody's good. We're still waking up
Everyone's
from
sore.
Saturday nights playing. Yeah,
right.
So the musicians are really liking that, and they're coming out. We're putting on some really great shows at the Floating Squirrel. It amazes me the musicians, the talent that comes out of the woodwork on a Sunday over there. So the next one of those is not this coming Sunday, but the following, which is the 18th, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's be the next one before the end of the year, and then the next one will be next year. But other than that, I'm playing. Actually, got some great concerts coming up this end of this month, man. Big stuff. I'll be playing the Burning Bridge on December 29th, Thursday, December 29th, from 6 to 8. Solo acoustic show. Might have a couple special guests in there. We'll see what I can pull off. But otherwise, we're going to put on a really kick-ass acoustic show. That's a place that I started at and was playing at the Burning Bridge, doing open mics, and then it just kind of went on from there. And then I ended up getting booking gigs there after playing there for a little while, and they learned to love me. They've come to love me, so they they've got me there in there a few times. But I'm playing there on the 29th, Thursday the 29th, December 29th, 6 to 8. And then on Friday, the 30th of December, I am playing at McCleary's with full band at McCleary's. We are playing from 9 to 11:30. It is my New Year's New Year's Eve pre-bash show. So come on out for that. It's going to be awesome. We got the live band going. We're going to be rocking that whole place. It gets packed pretty easy because it's not that large of a venue. So make your reservations now if you want a table. Otherwise, you can dance like everybody else.
Right, yeah.
And then the big show is actually New Year's Eve. It's kind of just came about, man. I had a great Thanksgiving Eve show with Garrett Schultz and American Wild and Ben Garner that was so great that he invited me to come and play again at his New Year's Eve show. So I'm playing the Double Barrel Roadhouse, which is a newer venue over in Red Lion on what is it, the Cape Horn Road,
Right.
over there in Red Lion. But it's a really beautiful venue. Hardwood floors. They got whiskey barrels as tables. It's bring your own. Cool. Yeah, it's really cool venue. Hardwood walls, everything. It's really beautiful. Big stage, big line dancing floor, and it's bring your own beer. It's gonna be an all-out party. I'm playing there on the 31st, New Year's Eve show. Garrett Schultz country countdown show. It's me, American Wild, and Garrett Schultz, and some surprises. And I think there's a raffle. There's like a 50-50. The guy gives away gift cards sometimes. I mean, we just have a great time. Garrett, when you go to a Garrett show, you're going to have a whole lot of fun. And when you come to my show, you're going to have a whole lot of fun. So now you're going to come to my show. You're going to come to American Wild show. You're going to come to a Garrett show. And you're going to have a whole lot of fun.
All on New Year's Eve as well.
That's all on New Year's Eve.
A whole bunch of fun.
We're going to drop a boot. We're going to have a boot drop at midnight. So if you don't come out, you're missing out. That's all I can tell you.
Absolutely.
So the 29th, the 30th, and the 31st, man. Burning Bridge on the 29th, McCleary's on the 30th, and the big New Year's Eve bash on the 31st.
Make sure you find
Double Barrel Roadhouse.
And you can find all that information on your website as well, cliftonbryancountry.com, is it?
Absolutely, yeah. cliftonbryancountry.com will take you to all of my social media information and phone numbers, and y'all can get a hold of me. We can book some gigs, or y'all can find out where I'm going to be at, and we'll see you there.
And before we head off, I've got a few general questions that I'd like to ask, and anybody in the audience that has any other questions, be sure to drop them now, and I'll ask them. So, first off, what are some of the funniest or worst things that ever happened to you on a gig?
Well, the funniest and worst. I mean, they're
one and the same sometimes.
It's sometimes one and the same. You know, I was playing a gig, and I only had like 4 songs to play, and I was on my last song, and I had just started the song, and I broke a G string. So when I said it, the crowd just roared. Yeah, they roared because I broke a G string.
I broke my G string.
I broke my G string, y'all, and they just lost it. So that was it. And then
that's a song right there.
Yeah, that was a song right there. So we had to finish. Sorry, it was the next to the last song actually of that set, and I broke that G string. And then luckily I had another guitar on backup, and somebody handed me the guitar, and I started to play my last song, and I'm playing away, strumming, having a good time. I think I was playing Folsom Prison, I think is what I was playing. And I kind of rock that out. I don't play it really slow. I country fried the crap out of it, so I kind of rock it out. And I'm playing, and I get about halfway through it, and I don't hear me no more. And my hand is still moving, and I don't hear it. And I look down, and all I'm holding is a piece of what used to be a pick in my hand. The pick split in half and flew somewhere. Yeah, it's gone. And so I couldn't. There was nothing. So once I figured that out, I dropped that little piece that was in my hand and used my fingers for the rest of the song. But it sounds totally different when you use your fingers versus a pick. But that was probably the worst. It was the worst and the funniest all in one occasion. You know, I broke a G string, and then the pick broke on the last song, and it made it sound different. But it all worked out in the end. I got everybody applauded, and it was all good. And I walked off stage. But that's been it really so far. I haven't had no really crazy stuff happen yet. I haven't toured on the road yet, so we'll see what happens when we get out there.
What's one of the best pieces of advice anyone has ever given you?
Man. Um, there's a lot. There's a lot of people have told me a lot of things in my life, and I think I think the one that sticks out the most is my daddy saying, "Don't quit, son. That's
Yeah,
don't quit."
that's one piece of advice to stick to. It's got to be that one.
Yeah, it's just don't quit. Just keep going. Don't quit. You're not a quitter. Don't quit.
That goes out to anybody out here as well. Don't quit. It's gonna take a while for things to get going.
Yeah. Yeah. Every time, listen, I'll tell y'all, I ain't afraid. Every time I feel defeated, which is very frequently, I feel defeated when I got $9 in my bank account and I need $20 in gas that week. I feel defeated when I've spent too much time playing music and not enough time with my babes. I feel defeated when I get off stage and I don't feel like I gave a good performance. I feel defeated when I don't have gigs coming up on the weekend. But every time I feel defeated, I give it to God and I don't feel defeated anymore. And somehow, some way, something always happens.
It's one of the biggest pieces of advice that I've ever been given was to cast your burdens on the cross.
That's it. That's it. And that is the hardest thing to
It
do,
is
my friend.
the hardest thing is to let go of your own bull and to just throw it up there and say it's not
Yeah.
not for me to deal with.
No, it is the hardest thing to do, the absolute hardest thing to do. But
With the reward.
in doing that is so rewarding, and not in just you don't get what you ask for. It's not always answered, but the relief of the pressure, the stress, the anxiety, everything else. When I say, God, it's yours, I'm giving it to you, God. I ain't gonna worry about it no more. I'm gonna let you just put what in my path what needs to be. The next day I might get 2 phone calls that says, hey, I need you to play this gig, or hey, I got the flu. Can you come and play this gig? Or hey,
Right.
what are you doing? What are you doing on Thursday? I need to blow these leaves off my yard, man. I'll pay you. Come over. You know what I mean? This is what I've been doing for a living for the last year. So anything that I could get my hands on out, playing music and keeping myself in this world is what I did and what I've been doing. So every time.
So then this leads us to our last question. What is worship to you?
What is worship to me?
What is worship?
Worship to me is worship to me is whatever you feel in your daily life, in your daily path, in your daily interactions, whatever you feel. There's a song that's out that says everybody talks to God.
Mm.
And it's an Aaron Lewis song. It's a fantastic song. And there's so much truth into that. Because you can be as mad as you want to be and be as straight as you want to be and curse his name all you want. But when that steak hits your plate, when that power bill gets paid, when you get new shoes, I guarantee in the back of your mind you're going, thank you, Jesus. Worship to me is just that. Being thankful for what it is that's in front of you and what's around you. And idolizing the only thing that needs to be idolized. That's God. For a long time, I thought it was money. I thought it was love. I thought it was raising kids. I thought it was this. I thought it was that. It's not. It's not. So you can easily worship alone. You can worship in congregation. You can worship with thousands of people. But I think the real worship is in your private talks with yourself when only he's listening. Whether you know you're talking to him or not, that's where your worship is.
Oh, with that said, this has been Clifton Bryan Country. Please be sure to check out all of his stuff at cliftonbryancountry.com. All those links will be in the description. please be sure to check that out. This is The Story Podcast. I am Corey Rosen. You can check us out anywhere you like on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify. Just search up The Story Corey Rosen. And we also have a website coming out very, very soon. Corey Rosen Productions. That's CORYROSEN Productions.com, where you can find out more about me and what I do. And if you want to tune in for some other guests we have, this Saturday we have a guy called Lucid Ruby coming on, 2 p.m. This Sunday we also have John Garcia, part of the Hopeless Romantics around here. And then next Thursday we have Juan Rosado, who is known as Spoken Music. He's part of a Dem collective. He's got a lot of stuff going on within the hip-hop community around here, spoken word community around here. And then that Friday, we have Stephen Courtney, who is a gigantic name within the children's music. He's got 5 songs on Sesame Street.
Oh, wow. That sounds like a song in itself.
It does. So stay tuned for that. And with all that said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. And we'll see you guys later. Bye.